in my business all the time. Things are embargoed all the time. Usually it is studies, lawsuits, those types of things. You know, if a journal is going to publish something, they want you to know it's going to be published, but they don't want you to put something about it before it actually shows up in the journal. So they do that all the time. You have to say embargoed. So, and you have to have obviously a conversation with the reporter as to how that's going to work and the timing. Yes?
Can you talk a bit about the liability issue? I mean, if I put something as embargoed and it's published beforehand, who's responsible?
You need to look at who broke the embargo, and then, you know, I'm not a lawyer, but probably that's something you need to discuss with that reporter and maybe a legal expert. But, you know, if it's broken, you know, depending, sometimes it's not a huge deal. It depends on what the matter was, what time they broke it at. You know, 5 minutes makes a difference from a day. So anyway, so some of these will say typically you want something publicized right now for immediate release. So you're going to include that at the top. The other thing that you see at the top here is a headline, and it's in bold. You need that. That headline needs to capture in an active voice with a verb what this is about, what happened. In this case, it was a pretty big ruling. So that's the important part of it. That's the gist of it. So come and tell me this, and two lines. He did a sub-headline. You don't have to do that, but you can do a smaller headline explaining a little bit more. They're not a rehash of each other. One tells you very quickly, landmark trial verdict announced. The next one gives you a little bit more detail. It tells you verdict enjoins at-large voting system in Irving. So it gives you more detail to add to the top headline. A lot of times, this was not done in this case, but some of the other ones you'll see on this side, they will have the person who to contact and a phone number. Sometimes it might be one person, could be two, a couple different phone numbers. Email, please, because a lot of people have Blackberries nowadays, and so they can get their email very quickly. Include the name of the person or persons, their phone number, and email, and make sure that person is available and ready to answer those questions. Make sure that they're ready to go. Thank you.
Annabelle, I like to send texts because I know some reporters can't read graphics, and some have told me they want it faxed, and some want it as an attachment, and most say they don't open the attachment. So what's the latest?
Well, I think what's helpful, and actually that was one of the things in here, is I think just to be on the safe side, say you're sending me an email, paste your press release into the email and attach it, because that way I have both. If I want to forward it to somebody else, say my editor wants to see it, I can forward it to him. He can look at the attachment, or he can look at the one that's already there. It makes it quicker, less work for you. So it's definitely a helpful thing. Make sure that person that's going to answer those calls too is aware of, getting that through to everybody. Okay, you can go forward to the. Okay, and I think we went over this a little bit, but your first paragraph answers the essentials: the who, the what, the where, the why. The second paragraph gives you more detail. That might be a little bit of whether it's background or just a little bit more detail as to how this is happening. Maybe talk about the why in there a little bit more, the how this is being done. Your third paragraph, always good to have a quote. Say Anne-Marie is doing something, it's going to have maybe a quote from her or one of the other organizations that's teaming up with her to do, whether it's an event or a workshop. Have a quote that that adds some detail as well. Not just this is good. Give me something substantial, because I might not be able to get a hold of you at this very minute, but if I can borrow that quote, I can use that quote at least for now till I can talk to you, and that gives me a little bit of more information. The fourth graph is going to be some background. Keep it short. Keep it brief. Yes.
Could you give a couple of examples for the third paragraph?
I'm sorry?
Some examples for the third paragraph?
Okay, I see a couple of the other ones. Okay. All right, well, look at your LULAC one. And they actually did it as a second quote, but their first paragraph was pretty lengthy. You know, and he says, you know, we strongly believe anyone should be able to buy a home. You know, it sort of gives you that they're passionate about helping people achieve the American dream of having a home. And then we find out, okay, Marcos Rincon, he's the executive editor. Executive director. So, okay, now we know somebody important within that organization. So you've told that person, that might be the go-to person. That's the person in charge there. And then he goes on to say, you know, our program does this. It represents this. So it gives me a little bit more detail about their mission, about their purpose. So usually it's something helpful like that. Something that adds a little bit more insight.
Annabelle, is it still true that some small papers will take the press release and basically print it as an article?
I've seen a few still do that, very rarely at this point. Most people will rewrite it, but yeah, I have seen a few small ones.
We have a minority paper that do that.
Really?
I got it, put it in and sent it.
Yeah, I know I've seen a couple in East Texas that are some of the tiny little towns, and and I wonder if maybe that'll happen even more because a lot of people have cut down on their staff, so it's just easier to paste what you wrote. So that makes it even more important to write it well. You know, write it with some good.
We thought we'd give them something to really write about because we break into groups. So we picked a carnival that is our next event coming up in March. So we put that page up, and can you divide them into 4 groups?
Okay.
We have 7 minutes for
Okay.
each group to write 1 paragraph. One group will do the first paragraph, one will do the second, one will do the third with a quote, and one will invent the 4th. And then we'll bring them all back together and read our press release.
Let's see how many you got. 5. Okay, we'll make this one group right here. I'm sure Laura's on top. Yes. Okay, and ma'am in the red here. These fine folks here. And then we've got, if you gentlemen will join up to, I'm going to split you guys. You will go with them, you with them. You guys will be one group.
We got paragraph 1.
And so, they're each doing this section?
Yeah.
Okay.
So scoot up, Rita. This is section 2. Section 3, are you guys doing the quote? Oh dear, Muslims writing a quote about carnival. No, you guys do the fourth paragraph, okay? Which is the background information. Go to our website for more photos, blah, 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 blah. So you guys are doing paragraph 3.
We're not funded.
From somebody, yeah.
We're doing the 4th paragraph, the background on the organization.
And invent something for him to say.
I think the 4th was like for more information, please contact.
I'm not sure. Let's get to the back again.
Let's say you've given him what to call and say a word about the meeting. Send it to marketing. Is marketing one person write it down. You're writing the 4th paragraph, which usually
That's
is background about the organization.
I work for
So DFW International is is blah, 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 just invent something, okay? And our website, blah, 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 blah. You know, our mission is blah, 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 background. No, and you know what it is? Or, you know, invent, you can invent anything, but write background about whatever. Have one person write it down.
Do we know anything about the
Just invent, it doesn't matter.
It's a multi